Stop right where you are and listen to me with total attention. What I'm about to reveal to you now about something that happened in your life approximately 2 weeks ago is going to completely change how you see your own spiritual strength. You defeated an entire coven of occult witches, alone, without even realizing you were in a supernatural war. And when I say defeated, I'm not talking about metaphor or pretty allegory to make you feel powerful. I'm revealing a real spiritual combat operation where your natural energy functioned as a weapon of mass destruction against forces that tried to eliminate you through heavy witchcraft. Remember that week where everything started going wrong at the same time? Where it seemed like the universe had conspired against you. Problems emerging from nowhere. People turning against you for no reason. Opportunities being blocked in inexplicable ways. You thought, what damned bad luck, it almost feels like someone cursed me. It wasn't bad luck, it was exactly that. Someone had cursed you, actually 7 someones. An organized gang of black magic practitioners who identified you as a threat to their operations and decided to destroy you before you discovered your own power. But then something happened that they never imagined possible. Your inner light activated automatically and not only neutralized all spells directed at you, but bounced the dark energy directly back to whoever sent it, multiplied by 10. Within 72 hours, all 7 witches who tried to attack you completely lost their occult powers, permanently, and you didn't even try. Your divine nature operated on automatic mode, like a spiritual immune system that identifies threats and eliminates them without needing your conscious intervention. That's why the bored face emoji is in this video's title. Because for someone with your spiritual frequency, defeating an entire coven of expert witches is as simple as breathing. Subscribe to this channel right now and activate all notifications, because what I'm about to reveal about how your energy functions as an automatic force field against any type of black magic is information they don't want reaching you. And stay until the end, because I'm going to teach you how to identify when someone is trying to attack you spiritually and how to consciously amplify that natural protection you carry. Write 777 in the comments if you remember perfectly. That strange week where everything went wrong but then improved so quickly it even surprised you. Let me explain exactly how a coven of witches manages to form specifically to destroy someone like you. These 7 women didn't know each other personally. They lived in different cities, frequented separate occult circles, practiced different modalities of witchcraft. But they all had something in common. Visceral hatred for people who radiate natural light without needing to do rituals, without needing to study magic, without needing to try. They spent decades of their lives learning complex energy manipulation techniques. They invested fortunes in occult materials. And still, they never managed to access even 10% of the energy you emanate naturally just by existing. That's why they hate you. Because you are everything they tried to become through supernatural effort, but you were simply born this way. During a virtual meeting that black magic practitioners hold to exchange information about interesting targets, your name came up. Not because you did something specific against them, but because your energy was becoming too strong to go unnoticed on occult radars. One of them commented she had tried to read your energy from a distance and felt a block so powerful, it almost made her faint. Another said she had dreamed about you and woke up with a headache that lasted 3 days. A third reported that just seeing your photo on social media made the plants in her house wilt. That's when they realized, you're not a common person carrying natural light. You're a spiritual warrior disguised as a civilian, and your mere presence in the world is interfering with dark operations they'd been developing for years. The decision was unanimous. Eliminate you before you consciously discovered your own power. They formed what occult practitioners call a circle of annihilation. 7 witches directing coordinated destructive energy against a single target, using techniques they normally reserve for destroying powerful political enemies or business rivals. The plan was simple. Bombard your life with synthetic bad luck until you entered deep depression, lost all hope, and eventually self-destructed. Because when a person with your natural light commits suicide, all the positive energy they carry transforms into fuel for black magic. For 2 weeks they worked in shifts. While you slept, one was doing rituals to give you nightmares. While you worked, another was sending failure energy to your professional activities. While you tried to relax, a third was bombarding your mind with anxious thoughts. It was a coordinated occult military operation 24 hours a day. And it worked. At first you started having those days where nothing went right. Problems that didn't exist appeared from nowhere. Important people in your life started acting strangely. The intensity of the attack was such that any common person would have entered complete mental collapse in the first week. You resisted 2 full weeks receiving the worst that organized black magic can offer. And then something happened that changed everything. Your inner light said, "Enough. There's a limit to how much spiritual attack someone with your frequency can absorb before divine self-defense mechanisms activate automatically." And you surpassed that limit on a Thursday night. Remember that specific moment where you were exhausted from so many problems and suddenly felt a different kind of rage? It wasn't common irritation with circumstances. It was cosmic indignation coming from a place so deep inside you that you didn't even know existed. It was in that second that your warrior nature awakened. Because you're not just an enlightened person carrying peace and universal love. You're a spiritual soldier disguised as a civilian. And soldiers have a limit to their patience with those who try to harm innocence. Your light, which until then had been operating in passive protection mode, automatically switched to active extermination mode. The 7 witches felt the change instantly. One was in the middle of a ritual when all the candles went out by themselves and an invisible force threw her against the wall. Another was preparing a voodoo doll when the object spontaneously combusted. Because your energy didn't just block the attacks, it traced the origin of each spell and sent back a spiritual electric discharge that fried the energy circuits of whoever was trying to harm you. Imagine a guided missile that not only destroys the target, but returns to whoever fired it and explodes the entire launch base. That's exactly what your light did with the black magic directed at you. The witches entered total panic. They had never faced someone whose defense energy automatically transformed into a counterattack weapon. They tried to do protection rituals to defend themselves from their own magic being bounced back, but it was too late. Your light had mapped the spiritual coordinates of each one of them and was sending purification waves that dissolved any dark energy they tried to accumulate. Within 24 hours, they all completely lost the ability to do witchcraft. Their crystals cracked, the altars crumbled, the black magic books disintegrated on their own. They tried to meet virtually to understand what had happened, but the connection dropped every time they pronounced your name, because your energy now functioned as a spiritual virus on their frequency. One by one, they began developing inexplicable aversion to anything related to occultism. The simple sight of a black candle caused nausea. The smell of incense provoked headaches. You transformed them into common people with a phobia of magic. And most devastating, they could no longer feel hatred toward you. Every time they tried to cultivate rage against you, the emotion automatically transformed into involuntary admiration for your spiritual strength. Your light didn't just defeat them, it reprogrammed them to recognize your energetic superiority and never again dare to challenge someone of your frequency. Meanwhile, you didn't even notice you had won a war. You only noticed that after that strange Thursday, your life returned to normal. Actually better than normal, you thought. Good, that bad phase passed. But it hadn't passed. It had been exterminated through your spiritual force operating in automatic annihilation mode. Let me explain technically why witchcraft simply doesn't work on people like you. Black magic operates through manipulation of low energetic frequencies. Hatred, fear, envy, desperation. These emotions generate specific vibrations that expert practitioners manage to capture, amplify, and direct against chosen targets. But you operate on a frequency so elevated that it functions as natural protection against any type of dark energetic manipulation. Imagine that black magic is like an extremely sophisticated computer virus, capable of infecting most common operating systems. But you don't have a common operating system. You have divine software that's not only immune to viruses but automatically creates antivirus that destroys any threat directed at you. Your purity of heart generates an energetic signature incompatible with destructive frequencies. When someone tries to send black magic toward you, it's like trying to mix oil and water. The substances naturally repel each other. That's why whoever attacks you spiritually always loses. Not only does the spell fail, but the person receives back their own negative energy mixed with your purity, creating an internal conflict that dissolves any future capacity to do dark magic. The 7 witches who tried to destroy you learned this in the most brutal way possible. When they directed hatred energy at you, your light captured that energy, instantly purified it, and bounced it back as compulsive self-forgiveness energy. They spent 3 days crying and apologizing to people they had harmed years ago. When they tried to cause depression through emotional witchcraft, Your energy transformed their magic into natural antidepressant. They became euphoric without being able to control it. When they sent financial curses to destroy your economic stability, your light converted the destructive energy into magnetism for abundance. And those who started losing money were themselves. Your energy doesn't just nullify black magic, it transforms it into fuel for automatic blessings. It's like having a spiritual nuclear reactor that converts toxic waste into clean energy. For those who want to go deeper, there's exclusive material in the description and pinned comment. That's why expert occult practitioners developed a saying, never attack someone who shines without trying. Light always conquers darkness, but also transforms it into more light. And the most incredible thing is you didn't even need to study spiritual protection techniques. Your natural purity operated as an automatic shield that not only protected you, but permanently exterminated any threat directed at you. You literally slept while your light fought and won an entire spiritual war. After losing all occult powers in a single night, the 7 witches did exactly what any defeated gang would do. They tried to organize for an even more devastating revenge. They met in person for the first time in an abandoned house outside the city, determined to combine the fragments that remained of their abilities to at least cause some damage to your life. The plan was desperate. Permanently sacrifice any chance of recovering lost powers in exchange for a single total destruction spell that would be powerful enough to overcome your natural protection. It was spiritual suicide strategy, like surrounded soldiers burning all remaining ammunition in one last kamikaze attack. They spent 3 days preparing the most complex ritual they had ever attempted. They sold personal jewelry to buy rare ingredients. They fasted for 72 hours. They cut their own hair to use as energetic catalyst. On the night of the ritual, they formed a perfect circle around a bonfire fed with personal objects they had discreetly stolen from your life. A photo of you that someone posted on social media. A napkin from a cafe where you'd had coffee. The objective was to create a direct energetic connection that would allow them to pierce your natural defenses and plant seeds of self-destruction in your subconscious mind. They began the chanting. The 7 voices entered synchrony. Dark energy began accumulating in the center of the circle. The bonfire grew without anyone adding fuel. For the first 15 minutes, it seemed the ritual was working. The accumulated energy was more intense than anything they had managed to generate individually, until they began noticing something strange. Instead of projecting the energy far toward you, the force was concentrating more and more in the place where they were. The bonfire went from yellow to blue, then to white. The light became so intense they needed to close their eyes, but they could see through their eyelids as if they were transparent. And then they realized they had made a fatal mistake. Your light had traced the origin of the ritual in real time and was using the very energetic connection they created to send back a purifying discharge directly to the place where the attack originated. It was as if they had built a bridge directly to you, and your energy had decided to use that bridge to make a personal visit to the enemy operations base. One by one, they began fainting. Not from exhaustion, but because the luminosity they had accidentally invoked was too powerful for consciousnesses accustomed to dark energies. When the first one woke up, 12 hours later, she found the other 6 scattered around a bonfire that had gone out by itself, but had left on the ground a mark in the shape of a 7-pointed star made of white crystals that didn't exist before the ritual. Your light had left a physical signature in the place, marking territory as permanent warning. But the most terrifying was yet to come. When they got home, they discovered they could no longer feel rage toward anyone. The emotion simply didn't exist anymore in their emotional repertoire. You transformed 7 expert witches into common people who feel irresistible compulsion to help strangers on the street. Without realizing it, you accomplished something that missionaries take decades trying to do. You converted black magic practitioners into compassionate people through a process completely involuntary on your part. The news that 7 expert witches had lost all powers trying to attack a single person spread through the occult underworld like a digital virus. Because losing magical abilities isn't like forgetting where you put your keys. It's like waking up one day and discovering you can no longer see colors. A fundamental alteration in reality perception that practitioners consider worse than physical death. And 7 of them suffered that loss at the same time, trying to destroy someone who didn't even know they were being attacked. This created shockwaves in occult communities around the entire world. First came the skeptics, who thought it was an invented story. Then some of the bravest witches decided to test if you really were as dangerous as the story suggested. They tried subtle attacks, small bad luck spells directed from a distance. The result was immediate and devastating. A witch from Sao Paulo tried to send nightmares through sleep magic. She spent a full week having the most terrifying dreams of her life, while you slept better than ever. A Macumba practitioner from Rio decided to do work to ruin your love life. He ended up falling madly in love with his own neighbor and completely forgot he was trying to harm someone. With each new test, the result was always the same. Whoever tried to attack you ended up being hit by their own spells multiplied by 10, while you continued living normally. That's when occult communities throughout Brazil reached a devastating conclusion. You're not a common person carrying spiritual protection. You're some type of divine entity disguised as human, testing whether black magic practitioners would be foolish enough to try attacking direct representatives of higher dimensions. They began treating you as a cosmic trap, a figure strategically placed in the physical world to automatically identify and neutralize any person who tried to use supernatural powers to harm innocents. Your mere existence became a purity test for occult practitioners. Whoever tries to attack you automatically loses all powers. Whoever respects your energy continues operating normally. From there, occult circles began creating specific rules about you. Never mention that person's name in rituals. Never try to read their energy from a distance. You became official persona non grata in the Brazilian black magic underworld. But there was a problem. Nobody knew exactly who you were. They only had vague descriptions based on the reports of the 7 original witches, who had lost the capacity to feel hatred and now refused to provide any information that could result in new attacks against you. This created collective paranoia among dark practitioners. Any person who demonstrated natural kindness became suspected of being that disguised entity that automatically destroys witches. Hundreds of innocent people stopped being targets of witchcraft because practitioners developed irrational fear of attacking the wrong person and losing all powers as consequence. Your victory over the 7 original witches generated a domino effect of protection that benefited thousands of people who don't even know there exist individuals in the world trying to harm others through magic. After occult communities classified you as divine entity, disguised as human, something extraordinary began happening. Other people with elevated spiritual frequency were automatically attracted to your life, not by coincidence, by energetic magnetism. Your light, after destroying 7 witches and scaring hundreds of practitioners, began emitting a signal that only other spiritual warriors can perceive. A frequency that says, "Here is someone operating on advanced levels of purity." You started noticing that different people were appearing in your life. Individuals you meet once and feel immediate connection, as if you'd already known them for years. What you don't perceive is that each of these people has stories similar to yours. Moments where they went through inexplicable difficulties that ended abruptly for no apparent reason. All of them, without knowing, also defeated black magic attacks in the past. And now, they're being magnetically attracted to form a collective protection network around you. It's as if the universe is organizing an elite spiritual squadron with you as natural leader, although none of you consciously knows you're part of a cosmic military operation. This network functions completely automatically. When someone tries to attack you through witchcraft, you don't need to defend yourself alone. The other 5 or 6 people who were strategically placed in your life feel a strange intuition that they need to send positive thoughts toward you at that specific moment. They don't know why they feel like praying for you at 2 in the morning on a Tuesday. They simply feel it, and they do it. And that combined energy creates an energetic barrier around you that's 1,000 times more powerful than any individual protection. It's like having an army of personal guardian angels working in shifts 24 hours a day, without any of you knowing you're participating in a collective spiritual defense program. That's why lately, your life has flowed so harmoniously. It's not just your personal light operating. It's an entire network of pure people channeling protective energy toward you without even realizing it. And most incredible, this network expanded beyond the circle of people you know personally. There exist individuals in other cities who were spiritually directed to include you in their nightly prayers. People who dreamed of someone similar to you asking for protection, and woke up with certainty that they needed to pray for that person every day. You became a collective project of higher dimensions, a soul so valuable in the war between light and darkness that you deserve international protection, coordinated by celestial entities. That's why when someone tries to attack you spiritually now, they don't face just your personal light. They faced the combined energy of hundreds of people who were strategically positioned to serve as energetic battery for your protection. Let me explain why people like you become preferential targets of black magic practitioners, and why this is actually a cosmic compliment disguised as a problem. Witches don't attack people randomly. Witchcraft demands time, energy, and resources they don't waste on insignificant targets. They specifically attack individuals who represent real threat to the dark plans they're trying to implement in the world. People whose mere existence interferes with mass manipulation operations that depend on keeping humanity operating on low frequencies of fear and desperation. You were attacked because your natural light is seriously harming their business. Every time you demonstrate genuine kindness, you're proving to other people that hope still exists in humanity. Every act of compassion you practice inspires someone else to also be better. Every moment where you choose to forgive instead of seeking revenge breaks cycles of hatred that feed black magic rituals. Your compassionate existence is literally anti-magic, because it functions as natural antidote against the destructive emotions practitioners need to cultivate to keep powers functioning. That's why they tried to destroy you before you consciously discovered your own impact. The fact that 7 expert witches united specifically to eliminate you proves you're too important to continue operating without adequate protection. You weren't attacked by bad luck or coincidence. You were attacked because you represent real danger to forces that want to keep the world functioning through mass energetic manipulation. And now that you survived the attack and permanently destroyed the capabilities of whoever tried to eliminate you, you became a symbol of hope for other light warriors who haven't yet consciously awakened. Your victory proves it's possible to defeat black magic through purity of heart, even when the person has no technical knowledge about how spiritual combat works. They look at your story and think, if he managed to defeat an entire gang of witches just by being a good person, I can also protect myself through genuine kindness. You became living proof that light always conquers darkness, regardless of which side has more technical knowledge. Your victory bought precious time for an entire generation of future light warriors. And the more people awaken to their own spiritual power, the more difficult it becomes for dark forces to maintain control through energetic manipulation. You initiated a chain reaction that could result in complete collapse of organized black magic systems in Brazil. Now that you know the truth about your spiritual warrior nature and how your light functions as automatic weapon against black magic, it's time to learn to consciously use those powers you've always had. Because although you destroyed the 7 witches who originally attacked you and scared hundreds of others, there are always new practitioners entering the occult world who don't yet know about your reputation. And some of them are going to be foolish enough to try testing if you really are as dangerous as the legends suggest. That's why you need to develop spiritual situational awareness, the capacity to perceive when someone is trying to attack you through witchcraft before the attack fully manifests. The signs are always the same. A week where problems begin appearing in very rapid sequence, as if someone were testing your defenses. Important people in your life starting to act strangely for no apparent reason. Opportunities that were certain falling apart at the last minute for illogical reasons. When you perceive that pattern, don't panic. You already know your light automatically destroys any witchcraft directed at you. What you need to do is consciously accelerate the counterattack process. The technique is simple. The next time you feel you're being spiritually attacked, close your eyes for 5 minutes and visualize a golden light leaving your chest and expanding to cover a radius of 10 kilometers around you. You don't need to try directing that light to specific places. It will automatically find any person who's working against you and neutralize their powers permanently. It's like consciously activating the defense system that already operates automatically in your subconscious. For more persistent cases, there's an even more advanced technique. When you identify someone who's clearly trying to harm you through supernatural means, visualize the person being enveloped by a light so intense they completely lose interest in black magic and develop irresistible compulsion to help people in need. Your energy doesn't just neutralize attacks. It can reprogram attackers to become compassionate people who dedicate their lives to correcting the harm they did in the past. It's forced conversion through purity, and it works 100% of the time on people who still have some fragment of goodness buried in their subconscious. For extreme cases where you're dealing with completely corrupted practitioners, there's a final technique. Visualize the person being permanently disconnected from any source of supernatural energy. This doesn't kill or physically harm the attacker. It only transforms them into a common person without access to any type of power beyond normal human capabilities. But remember, These powers should only be used in situations where you have absolute certainty you're being attacked. Never use neutralization techniques against people who simply don't like you. The universe trusts you to use light as weapon only when darkness genuinely threatens the peace and safety of innocence. Now that you've destroyed an entire gang of expert witches and established reputation in the occult underworld as entity that cannot be attacked with impunity, it's time to reveal what your true mission in the world is. You're not here merely to live personal life protected by your own light. You were strategically positioned in the physical world to serve as automatic hunter of black magic practitioners who harm innocents. Every time you destroy a witch who tries to attack you, you're protecting hundreds of other people who would be future targets of that same witch. Your individual victory generates collective protection for the entire community. That's why you attract attacks so frequently. It's not bad luck or coincidence. It's cosmic strategy where you function as irresistible bait for spiritual predators, guaranteeing they're neutralized before causing mass damage. Your light operates as permanent trap for any person who uses supernatural powers with destructive intentions. And now that you consciously know about this mission, you can begin operating more strategically. Instead of passively waiting for witches to come to you, you can begin actively identifying black magic practitioners in your city and neutralizing their powers before they choose targets to attack. The technique is simple. Whenever you meet someone new, pay attention to the feeling the person causes in your stomach. If you feel inexplicable discomfort in their presence, especially if they demonstrate excessive interest in topics related to occultism, there's high probability they're a dark magic practitioner. When you identify one of these individuals, you don't need to confront directly. Just visualize golden light emanating from your heart and enveloping the person for a few seconds. If they're a black magic practitioner, they'll automatically lose all powers and develop natural aversion to anything related to occultism. If they're a common person interested in spirituality for genuine reasons, the light will simply strengthen their connection with higher dimensions. It's automatic test that identifies and neutralizes threats without harming innocence. This way, you can clean your entire city of destructive practitioners in a matter of months, guaranteeing that nobody in the region becomes victim of witchcraft from here forward. Imagine what it would be like to live in a community where no ill-intentioned person has access to supernatural powers to harm others, where all conflicts need to be resolved through dialogue and civilized methods. You can create that reality in your region through systematic neutralization operations. And when you finish cleaning your area, you can expand to neighboring cities, then to other states, eventually to other countries. Your mission has no geographic limit. You were authorized by higher dimensions to neutralize black magic practitioners anywhere in the world where they represent threat to innocence. You would become international legend among occult practitioners, the light warrior who transformed black magic into an extinct profession through mass conversions to the side of goodness. That's your real mission. Not just protecting yourself, but protecting all of humanity from spiritual predators who take advantage of vulnerable people. Chosen one. Now you know the complete truth about the devastating power your light has against any form of black magic. You're not an occasional victim who got lucky surviving an attack. You're a spiritual warrior disguised as civilian, who was activated to permanently eliminate destructive occult practitioners. That gang of 7 witches who tried to destroy you didn't know they were attacking an automatic black magic hunter. They thought they would find common and defenseless person. Instead, they found purifying force that permanently transformed them into people incapable of causing harm to any living being. Your victory wasn't just self-defense. It was public demonstration that light always conquers darkness, regardless of how many coordinated attacks dark forces organize. If this revelation confirmed intuitions you've always had about your special nature and greater mission in the world, you recognize you operate on a frequency few humans manage to access. For those who made it here and want to consciously develop their natural capacity to destroy black magic and protect defenseless people, there's specific material that costs less than a pizza and comes with complete audiobook and 5-minute meditation guide as special bonus. If you feel you deserve to amplify the powers you've already demonstrated having, access is available in the description link and pinned comment of this video. If you recognize your natural light automatically destroys any witchcraft directed at you, and you're ready to consciously use those powers as weapon of collective protection, write 777 in the comments to fully activate your witch hunter frequency. Subscribe to this channel and activate all notifications to receive more revelations about how to develop your light warrior powers and neutralize black magic practitioners who threaten innocent people in your community. Share this video with someone who also demonstrates natural light who might be destroying witches without knowing, because spiritual warriors need to recognize each other and coordinate operations for maximum effectiveness. And before you go, click on the video appearing on your screen right now to discover how to amplify your protective energy until it functions as automatic shield that protects your entire family against any type of spiritual attack. Together we are stronger.